Okay, so this is um, being recorded for both viewers and potential general managers who want to use we as their vehicle. Um, we have in app many different groups using different approaches, uh, but here what the thrust of this talk is to show the flexibility that as a general manager you can have in terms of using this winning entanglements um, protocol for making predictions. So I will be in fact going over kind of the baseline we approach and then showing how flexible indeed it is, so that some of you may indeed want to pick it up. And we're going to be taking this all the way through making a specific prediction on tonight's NFL football game between Tampa and St. Louis. So we will be all doing sessions and making predictions, and that'll all get done today. And we'll talk a little bit about feedback, but that can't happen until afterwards. Now, one of the reasons I do like we and push it is because it's really been built around the idea of user-friendly and being able to get data. Um, yes, I'm a scientist, and of course that I suppose has taught me the value of data. And in this field, the value of the data is both at the level of the individual watching his own data, correlating with things that might be going on in his life, and then the general manager has access to all of the individual data from all the viewers in his or her group. This happens to be just a representative plot of a good viewer who's done almost 65 or so sessions, and the kind of data that would be available to this viewer who happens to be very reliable. This is actually pretty unusual. Usually they tend to oscillate more than this. But the red curve is the cumulative from the beginning. So that's the total hits divided by hits plus misses, and passes are ignored. The blue is the 10-day moving average. So after 10 tradables, ignoring passes, this person was at like 70% using the last 10. And you can see very, very uniform. One of the reasons I showed it is to almost point out the contrast, saying between 60 and 70%. And then the green is the one I consider the most important, because now you're getting into the intermediate term. This is 25-day moving average. And again, you can see the stability here of being over 60, between 60 and 70%. So the data and the data being available to you using we in any of the ways that we'll be talking about, this is one of the things that comes out.
Can I ask a question about that last
Sure.
slide, Marty?
Please do.
The red line seems really obvious to me. My understanding is, I get that.
Okay.
When you say a 10-day moving or a 20-day moving, I don't really understand that. Can you explain the difference between?
And thank you for asking that. Here, let's say on this particular day, the person had a trade. Well, in fact, let's take this day, because I can tell it looks like it was a hit. They had a hit on this day. But the question is, how do I do the counting? Well, what we do is look in their statistics and look backwards from today's hit, okay, on this particular day, and go backwards, ignoring passes, to find, counting this day, the last 10 tradable predictions. And then we count up the hits, we count up the misses, and then we get the hit rate, which is the hits divided by hits plus misses. So counting back the last 10 days, on this day, ignoring passes from the last 10, they had 7 hits and 3 misses because the total was 10.
So that 10 days could really be 10 weeks, right? Because it's 10 transcripts.
Yes, who knows how many, thank you, who knows how many days I had to go back.
It's events. It would be events, so it would be,
yes,
might be once a week maybe.
Yes, in fact, thank you. In fact, I think that's the way I will refer to it from now on. It's the 10 event past hit rate. You know, the language gets kind of tough, but once you understand it.
The last 10 events, yeah.
The last 10 non-pass events. In fact, that's probably the best way to say it. So it's the last 10 non-passed events. And here, it's the last 25 non-pass events. And the same thing here. So there are some that were counted in here that are not being counted here because they drop off. And so this is the last 25 events.
And can you tell us why that's important to look at the 10 and the 25?
As a group manager, I am always looking for reliability. And a person like this is extremely reliable at this level. And notice I'm looking at multiple viewers. So if I were to have 5 viewers who are 60% reliable and 4 of them were going in the same direction, I'd feel pretty comfortable. You know, I don't expect them to get hits every time. But if I had a 4-to-1 ratio of reliable viewers, I would feel really, really good.
And you could also say, you know, people go on hit streaks and also who cares, you know, how they did two years ago, maybe when they made some mistakes or when their parents died or whatever. You know, you really care more about their recent performance.
Right. And yes, so these are events. The term day comes from the financial markets where in fact there is you know, an up and down move every day. But you're absolutely right to point that out, and I'm going to try to use that language in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, and I really appreciate Scott's comment about as human beings, as living organic human beings, we go through bouts of happiness and bouts of trauma and bouts, it's just the condition. And this pulls that, it helps to narrow it down. I think that's really, I see the importance now. I didn't 10 minutes ago. Now I get it. Yeah.
It gets people to actually believe deep in their gut, down in their subconscious, that when there is something negative going on in their life, they do tend to get worse. Again, nothing in this business is 100%, but I have seen so often that when there's negative stuff going on in their life, negative things happen in their hit rate.
Disequilibrium,
Yep. And actually, after a person sees this enough, they'll stop doing the remote viewing during a negative time, and I would encourage that. You know, you have to feel good about getting into it. Okay, so this is one of the big virtues that I actually see with
one last question. The red line, which is every single one of them.
Yep.
Hello, Chris. He's on without a mic. The red one, is that including all the passes? And the blue and green have no passes in them.
That's
so
correct.
Do passes in the red line actually make the red line, does it adjust the red line?
Well, what it does is it goes flat like this.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it goes flat. These flats are, there may be a pass, so if there's a pass, it would keep it flat. but sometimes you might get a
Yeah.
hit and off the back end of the 10, you lost a hit, and so it stays the same, so you can't tell. But here
So
you
I don't
can.
understand. In the green one, you said it might be a pass,
Correct.
but I just heard a minute ago that passes aren't considered in those.
Yes, but notice if the prediction on that day was a pass, I go back 10 days ignoring passes. So I get the same 10 I got from the day before,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So the
Yep.
arithmetic, and you don't need to worry too much about that, but it's good to understand the ideas. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's now get into ARV and then the way we does it. We know I'm not really teaching anybody here about ARV. If you're listening to this, you already know, hopefully, ARV and the three phases. The key is that there are two possibilities, and you make in the classical ARV approach one prediction for the winning side. So we're going to be doing over and under, which is the combined total of the points scored by the two teams. And we're going to be doing Tampa Bay versus St. Louis. And as of 8:20 this morning, the line is 41, but the line will actually be when I get in to look and place a trade, but it'll be around 41 points. Now, specifically then, if it remains at 41 points, the two possibilities for what are in these sealed hidden targets, and we'll be using photo sites, are one is for over, one is for under. Um, let's not talk about pushes now. We'll talk about it when we get to the actual line, but it's rare that it becomes an issue. Now, so the key in classical ARV is one prediction for the winning side being over or under. So there will be a coordinate and a tasking to ask for a description of the winning side. Say it's over, you'll open up this envelope and that'll be your feedback. And at remote viewing time, you're to describe that. Here's what WE does. The difference is that WE has two predictions. One for the winning side being over or under, really just as before, but now you're also doing the other side being under or over. Notice the flip, over or under, because if in fact the winning side turns out to be over, guess what? The other side will be under, right? Isn't that clear? We're talking about the same game. And if the winning side is under, the other side will be over. So winning entanglements, when we talk about winning entanglements, it means hitting the target on the winning side and or the other side. Under the best of conditions, you are in a position to get both of these right. The side of over and the side of under, because one will be winning, one will be the other. Is that clear? No comment? Does that mean it's not clear? There are two sides. You're doing two predictions. So what you're now actually doing is going for a prediction for the target, both targets. However, the association with the two coordinates, they're going to be two taskings, those are then associated with the winning side and the other side. And of course, at feedback time, so you get the appropriate feedback target. Now you have two chances to, in fact, get a strong hit. And that's one of the reasons we do it. We give each viewer, frankly, these are two independent tasks, and they have now two chances to get a hit. And under the best of circumstances, and it happens rather frequently, they will get two hits. It's like they're on, and they'll get both of them. On the other hand, sometimes they'll only get one, but they'll get a really nice hit, and that will tell us exactly which is the team to wager on. Okay, let's go through what I believe, in fact, is and certainly intended to be and designed to be a user-friendly approach. The tasking is done by the general manager. Did I miss anything on this last one? I did. One thing I wanted to say here was a general manager can, in fact, be one person. If a person wanted to do WE by themselves, they could be a group of one, and that would, in fact, work, because the way this is designed it was originally designed to be done by self-judging, but you can do independent judging if you've got a person who wants to be your independent judge, because that person then just simply needs to know your email address, because that's how you get into the system, and they can do the judging for you. We are today going to be doing something analogous to Lively, where we'll all be doing one coordinate at the same time, which is kind of the Lively approach. We really believe that being in a group together and supporting each other is helpful. So you're going to see what that is. We have couples who do this together. So you can have one group who's a couple, and then you can do it in a single way. So now let's show where that flexibility comes from. The tasker, the general manager, sets up a task. So I set this up, frankly, this morning, and went into the system, and all I have to do is put in when the transcripts are due, and I could have put the game detail, more detail than this if I wanted to, but I just said NFL Thursday night football game. I've indicated the transcripts are due at 4 p.m. today, Pacific time. And here's the start day. And then it's always important to indicate when the transcripts are due for the viewer. So the game is at 5:35, we saw, and so the transcripts are due at 4 o'clock. I set it at 4 o'clock because it turns out there's another group who's doing the same thing. So their deadline was 4 o'clock. We'll have it done long before then. Now, so the general manager sets this up. Out goes this email to all the viewers, and all the viewer needs to do is to click on this to go to this page, where each of the members of the group now simply put in their email address. This is defaulted. I did this under a webinar workshop group. So these are all the other groups. Julie here, yours comes up defaulted here, but now it's here. So these other groups all have their own group managers. Okay, so a viewer simply puts in the name there and clicks here and goes forward. Now, notice if you were doing this by yourself, Fine, put in the name. Today we're going to be doing Lively, so I'm the only one that's doing this. Notice the emails did not go out to anybody else because webinar and workshops, usually the people are together and you give them one coordinate. So after the person puts in their name and clicks on this, this is what comes up. Now the flexibility is all right here. The coordinates were chosen randomly. Here are the two coordinates. Here you're going to do two transcripts. The tasks, and after you do this, I have a feeling most people don't read this anymore, but, and that is actually, I think, appropriate, because if you want to do is get it down in your gut that you're creating an RV transcript for each coordinate that is a good match to the feedback target for that coordinate. So that is the tasking. And then, and I really believe this is quite important, start each RV session when you feel good about doing that session. Need to get yourself in a positive frame of mind. That's what your cool down. You know, it's even best if you go into it that way, but certainly your cool down is to get you to this place where you feel indeed you're connected with your subconscious in a good, confident, comfortable way. Is you know, and experience is the best way to do that over the long term. But then right here is where the cues, which are really small versions of this, where Q1 says describe and sketch your, and there's one coordinate, and Q2 is describe and sketch your, and there's the second coordinate. Okay, which is the standard way that WE works, and most people who are doing WE, in fact, do too, because they appreciate that they would, first of all, people really enjoy doing remote viewing sessions, and that's great. And this gives them two chances of getting a good hit. So most people are doing that. However, some people, for various reasons, have said, hey, I only want to do one coordinate. Um, in fact, it may be that the first time this came up was someone just didn't have enough time for two, and I know people have asked me what to do about that, and I'm going to tell you. In fact, I'll actually show you a little later, but the normal approach is that you upload, well, the normal approach is right now you write these two coordinates down, one on top of one sheet of paper, one on top of another sheet of paper, so you don't need to do the screen. You can go off someplace and do your first coordinate, do your first remote viewing session. I prefer if people wait a day, but at least a half an hour or an hour, get involved in some other activity to separate these and to really tell your conscious and subconscious that these really are two independent remote viewing sessions, which indeed they are. You're going to get one feedback target associated with this coordinate and a different feedback target associated with this coordinate. So these are two independent sessions. So you go away, you do your sessions, you generate a transcript. Generally two. But let's say now you only did, as we're going to do today, one, and you were by yourself. You would click this button, and from either your smartphone, some people have scanners, you need somehow to get your transcript into your computer or smartphone and then upload it here. And you know, a whole different discussion on how to do that. However, everybody has figured it out, and we're glad to help people in figuring out how to do it. But in this day and age, um, people just do this kind of standardly. So sending is just like sending a picture to somebody else. So you pick it up, you click the browse button, and that's it. Now, normally you would do the same thing with the second transcript. A lot of the flexibility comes from simply having, and I will show you that, having a text, which basically I call mine a dummy file. And all it does says, this is a dummy file. So I can put something in here so the system will go on. But the system and you will both know that the only real one is this. Um, um, so that's how you can get away with just doing one, as we're going to do now. So, I mean, it's really that simple. So if a group manager wanted to have a group to do things lively like, um, uh, they would simply do what I'm about to do, but you could do something which was even a little different than lively, but also kind of interesting with one transcript. And I don't think anybody has set up a group that's designed this way, where everybody would individually go in, get their own transcript, and only do one. And the group manager would know that, and the group manager would just look at the data from the first coordinate. But each viewer would get a different coordinate, as opposed to what we're going to do today, where they all get the same coordinate. So that's another example of a flexibility. If people were to do it that way, they'd basically be doing classical ARV from A to Z, because everybody would simply be doing one transcript, and the judge would be comparing that one transcript to the two possibilities. Okay, any questions, comments at this point?
So in order to do just one transcript, the other one, you still have to submit something so that it will fly through to the next screen?
Yes, I suppose
Okay.
someday I could put a button there or something which would only say one transcript, but right now you have to do that. But that's easy. All you have to do is have a text file on your system someplace that you go to regularly.
So as a judge, so like when Scott is leading his group,
Mm-hmm.
does the computer come up with the random numbers, or does Scott fix that all up and then program it with
No,
everything?
that's why, fortunately, Scott took to WE, because the computer does all of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After you put in that very first page, which I showed as the judge, um, when you have to put in some simple data, and that's very easy for you to do, all the viewers will get a page like this. And each of them that goes in will get their own coordinate, or if you want to only have one, then you do it, and that coordinate is randomly chosen. And then the pictures will eventually, and they're not even chosen yet, but the pictures will be randomly chosen from our set of 800 pairs, target pool pairs.
Mm-hmm.
And all that is done automatically. However, I have done some special coding for Scott, which all other group managers that use WE are welcome to use. And that is, if they choose two pictures, if they think they're better at choosing pictures and they don't want to use our target pool, and maybe they have a special group of viewers that don't like animals, and the whole group doesn't like animals. That's why they get the group together. And they could then choose their own pictures, and if they send those to me, I will make those the target for a particular
Cool. Yeah, their own
set.
pool.
Yes. Yeah. So we can, so I work with the group managers in that way. And in fact, I'll continue to do that when group managers come up with ideas that really make sense. I will do coding for them. Okay, so hopefully you
Can you
get the
go back?
sense that,
Do you mind going back one more screen where there's a list of all the groups there? That one.
yeah,
Are all of those groups API 1, API 2, API 3, API,
no,
all of them?
no. App 2 is um, Samambia. That Carlos said he wanted to start a group. I set it up.
Mhm.
But all
How
the
many groups
others,
do you think we
all
have
the
going
others
that are
are,
pretty regular?
all the others are active except this one and 1, 3, 4, and 5. But when I was in setting up new groups, and this is for the APPI, I decided I might as well do 5. I figure I'll
Yeah.
eventually, yeah. But all these others besides this one are active and active.
So that looks like 7 are pretty regular. The webinar probably happens maybe once a month, you think?
6, no, 7, 8, 9 are
9.
regular. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
And are the APIs single people, or are they are they little groups of people?
Um, this is a single group, and this is a single group. It turns out beta is really an API group. It was,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Alpha has one person in it
and
presently, but
alpha has one person in it.
I'm going to add two as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So Scott and Marty, I mean, this is really curious. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
How many transcripts do you think run through this WE a week, approximately?
Chicken dinner gets about 9 or 8.
That's 8 people times 2 is 18.
Right, right.
Cool.
And then, yeah, and there's 2 for alpha, 2 transcripts for alpha.
And I would say the others I typically get between 3 to 5.
15. That's about 15 people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is 30 transcripts a week. That's pretty
Or more.
Right.
Yeah.
pretty regular, good, consistent data.
Yeah. Actually, Omega gets more than that. The sports, people definitely like sports better than the financial. Easy to understand. They can watch the game. Omega probably gets, I don't know, 7 or 8, up to 10 sometimes.
Fun.
But,
So
yeah.
in Chicken Dinner, we do have 2 people that are doing kind of the hybrid stuff that Marty just described. So one, my teacher is experimenting with sending me, and he's done this for months now. He sends me one transcript, and I independently judge it for him. So he only.
Match it up for him?
Who is that? Say again.
Do you match it up for him, or you just judge it to the 2?
He emails it to me. I upload it. I look at both targets. I come up with 2 scores instead of 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then I submit it for him, and then I email him just one target at the end. So it's similar to Classical Binary.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else has even a more hybrid approach where he uploads 2 transcripts, looks at both photos, comes up with 4 scores, and the only thing I do is the feedback part where I send him one photo.
Yes.
Even though
So
he's
you
seen
can override it. And having a mixture of methodologies in one group seems to work okay, doesn't it?
yeah, it's working fine. It doesn't mess up the attention of the
No,
group.
it doesn't. But you would think it could, but it doesn't. So I think that's big.
Learning. Which photo do you send that one person?
Yeah, that's the really hybrid part. I could actually send him either photo, but I send him the photo that's the best match to his best transcript that's on the right side, back side.
Interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. That's the philosophy of being as positive as you can be.
And then I tell him, this is important, I tell him what transcript it goes with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And he wagers it.
Yeah, and then he knows when he does feedback that he he looks at the transcript I tell him to, and maybe puts check marks on all the things he got right in the photo, the single photo I send him.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Right.
And the fact that you can manage the whole group with 3 different methods is in one event is seems time consuming to me, but it obviously isn't too much for you because you're I mean the hit rate's wonderful.
It still saves me it saves me a lot of time still,
Yeah.
because it's taking care of the other 8 viewers for me.
Yes, that is the time saver is really, that's the big plus to it.
Right.
That was one of the main reasons I started, because I was like you, putting pictures in envelopes and doing everything, and maybe even including viewing, and I don't know, Ed May would pull his hair out if he would slap me on the wrist saying you can't view and be a judge at the same time, and it's not right that the person who chose the photos is the person giving feedback and
I heard it from him.
and betting and placing wagers. It's all wrong, but it works. But it got so much easier when I started using these web pages.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and notice all of the flexibility is in how you manipulate the browsing and what you show them in terms of coordinates. Okay, I think we should do it because I'm a great believer in learn by doing, and so plus let's get a prediction. This is just a copy of that other page, but I just made the click for coordinates, and it looks like I should indeed be able to do that again. Now, is there any reason for me to do it again? No, probably not. You know when I'll do that again? Okay, I will do that again when we do the judging. But now's our time to actually get settled. And here is the coordinate. So I'm actually going to do a session, and then I will upload it. So I'm getting my pencil and paper, my pen and paper.
Shall I give a paper with this number on it to Sam? He just walked in the door a few minutes
Oh,
ago.
that'd be great. Have Sam do it too. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Perfect. Hi, Sam. So
I don't think he can hear it. I'm just going to pass it to him. I don't think he's...
Okay, and give it to, just put the coordinate there. So I am now, we're still in our intellectual mode, but I want to get this all set up. 149314. I'm putting my name. I'm putting the date, which is the 17th. And I'm saying webinar. Okay. So hopefully you are already at that level. And now, for the first time, I want to see if this works. I have some meta music that came from the Monroe Institute. I'm going to leave it on like for 5 minutes, and then we'll have 5 minutes of quiet. So we're going to do a session that'll last over 10 minutes. And obviously when you feel ready to start your session, if it's longer than 5 minutes, feel free to do so, or later. But I'll bring us out of it after 10 minutes. And in fact, I'm setting my alarm now. Okay, so I think you should take some deep breaths. Now, are you hearing this? I just like
Yes.
to. Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing any music.
I hear your voice, but no music.
Okay, I still haven't mastered that. Okay, so but all of you have done cool downs, and everybody has their own style. So
Oh yeah.
I'll just give a very beginning. The minute music is good for me. Relax. I'm a great believer in focusing on your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Letting everything, the daily activities just float away. Just focus on your breath. Reestablish the intention with your sub to describe and sketch the feedback target for 149314. Okay. I'm going to count back from 4 and then come back to your normal state at 0. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Awake, alert. TMI always used to say that. Okay, how we doing? We've all generated transcripts? Talk to me.
Yeah, I did something.
Okay.
I got some scribbles.
Okay, good. Okay, now, if we were together in a room, there'd be several ways we'd be able to go. You could give it to an outsider to judge. You could judge it yourself. Let me now show you the way we would do it. Okay, so now I'm going to just reproduce, and this is good to know in that you can go back in and hopefully we will get the same coordinate. Okay, so there we are, the 149314. So this is all being done live now on our server. So you now each have your own transcripts. If you were at home doing this yourself, or if a general manager had tasked all of his people, each of the individual viewers would now go back to this page where they got the coordinate, but now it's time to submit your transcripts. So I put this one here. There it is. So I actually took a picture from my smartphone. I sent it to my own name so I'd get it on this computer. And I now simply double click it and it's now in here. What do I do about the second one? Well, for the second one, if I wanted to, I could do the same one. What I tend to do, and let me show you this document. I have something called dummy here, and it just basically says I'm dummy here used when I don't do a transcript. So I don't even have to show it to you. But so I'm here, and I open it, and I have 2. So as you know, if you ever not put 2, it will not let you go to the next step. So you do have to have something there. And then we'll click submit. And here also now we have lots of choices. What now comes up, if in fact you wanted somebody else to be judging it, they would have been the one. You're now wearing your judging hat, whether it is you or somebody else. For today, what I would like us to do is self-judge and use the original lively approach because it's kind of the simplest, which is you're going to see which is the best match. And if it doesn't match either of them well, I'm willing to say it's a pass. So what we're going to end off with, and I hope you all know how to use, I don't want some people to be saying it looks really good for this and not for the other. So I want you to put yours in the chat box and send it to me. I hope you all know how to do that.
Just you.
Just me, right.
Not everyone.
And,
not everyone.
Right. So there's a way of picking out my name and send it to me, and then I'll keep a list here and we'll see how it goes. So at this point, simply all you'll do is, this is photo site A, I'm now going to show you photo site B, and of course the way you do that is something like that. And here I want them both on the same page. Remember, we're doing self-judging now, and this isn't the normal way I would ever recommend doing judging, but in a group like this, I think it works. I think it works fine. And so first, I want you to independently do your judging, and then we will talk about it. Okay. So wait, I need to get this other one up here, which is here. Okay. So this one is photo site A, and this one, of course, is B, but I'll just make it absolutely clear. So what you should send me basically is A, B, or pass, as simple as that. And that was the very original lively approach, where they had 3 piles, as I recall. Okay, thank you, Julie. Thank you, Scott. And don't feel rushed. Judging takes as much time as it takes to do it right. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sam. In fact, that might be everyone. Let me see. It says we have 5, counting me. And with 5, okay, that's everyone. This is unusual, and I will share with you my first reaction because I've had this happen and go the wrong way, and somehow I flash back on that. Every one of you went from photo site A.
Wow.
So we have 5 A's. One person indicated a little bit of bleed through. I think we can talk about them now, but I would have to say translating, and you see people might have different styles in how they would do the group manager styles. Notice we didn't use the Russ TAR confidence level, right, which I think you're all familiar with, but we need to always translate it to that because for keeping records and everything, it's all based on the 0 to 7 scale. But I think getting all in the same direction I feel I need to make this at least a 6 on the TARC scale. You know, I'm playing the group manager role here. And see, the way you know with at least reasonably high confidence that nothing was done with this, well, in this case, we know it directly, but a group manager, when a viewer were to submit, there would be 2 zeros there. But here, I don't know. I'm just going to put a 1. Remember, this goes into the records, and I'm just going to put a 1. Okay, and then we would click submit and we're done. But I'd like to talk now just a little bit about the judging. Was A clear for all of you? Nancy has an approach, and let me see if I summarize it for you right, Nancy, where you go 0 to 3 on each side.
It depends on which group, which which project we're working on. But
Okay.
the 0 to 3, it's really 1 to 3, low, medium, and high correspondence.
Okay.
Low is 1, 2 is medium, and 3 is high correspondence.
And I think you all know the CR. You all know the CR equivalent. Let me ask you, now this will be kind of interesting. What would you say the CR equivalent would be, Nancy, for yours? You know, you went for A. How good was it?
Yeah, I would drop mine down, the A side down, because I had bleed through. So
Right.
there's kind of a penalty there. So I would drop the whole, if it were up to me. It doesn't change the outcome.
Right.
But I would change the CR to maybe a 5 or a 5.5 for A and a 2 for B, if it was up to me. But it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't with this approach, but it's interesting to
matter.
see how good you think you were. And how about Sam's? How good was Sam's? What would he say?
Sam's was definitely A. Would it be a 5? No. But there's no other B in it.
I'll give it a 4. And Julie, how would you rank yours if you were to do it on the TARC scale?
For
the A.
Photo A, I would say a 4.
Okay.
And for photo B, it appears there's bleed through, and I would give it maybe a 2, 2.5 maybe.
Okay. And Scott, how about you?
Let's see. For photo A, I would say 2.5, and for photo B, 1.5.
Okay.
Little bleed through.
Is that a CR, Scott? You would give the A a 1?
On a scale of 0 to 7.
Okay, but yours then should have been a pass. If there were 3 piles, wouldn't you put yours in the pass pile?
No. Oh, I see. Well, I don't know. The Colorado experiment doesn't really have.
Oh, they only had
as
A or B. Okay. I would have had it.
And then they do kind of rate it on a 1 to 3 scale sometimes.
Awesome.
Not kind of, they do. Yeah, the Colorado does.
Okay. See, if I were doing this with 1, I would actually ask everybody to do the CRs, even with 1. Yeah. Okay, and then Chris, what was yours?
He says CR4.
He said a CR4. Okay, so we have.
I told you 5, but I was thinking for our whole group. I was thinking as group think instead of just Nancy think. So I would drop my A down to probably about a 4.
Oh, you mean standing alone, your match and everything. Okay, but we have 4 4s and 1 2.5.
We call mine a pass lane.
Or let's call it, 1 pass. But then as a group manager, actually, in some ways that almost makes me feel more confident.
Yeah, me too.
The way I was thinking of it before. I would probably, again, I've never really done it this way enough to know for sure, but I'd probably change that to a 5, getting as many as we did, not a 6, because they're all 4s. Okay. That was very interesting. So we've got a clear a direction, and only the computer knows, but let's put some comments in here. Webinar with 4 people going, or let's say predicting side A. Okay, predicting side A.
And did we all go with a 4? You might want to put CR4 in parentheses there for that comment.
I was going to do that here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do here. All CR equal 4.
I think that's interesting.
And one, I do too. And one pass. Okay. And the photo site verifiable. You know, there was some talk. A photo site does not mean it has to be actually in the picture. It has to be with high
Alluded.
probability near or in the picture.
So
Like
my
I'm
question,
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Joe taught us that if it wasn't in the picture, it didn't count. So when I got last week what looked like a fireman's ladder, when there was no fireman's ladder in the picture, but there were firemen, according to Joe, we wouldn't have counted that, but I did count that. So counting that's
Good.
correct?
In my
It
opinion,
depends.
it's correct. When we
Me
use the
too.
word
I think
photo
so.
site, we include what is easily assumed. But, you know,
Gotcha.
you just can't stretch. In fact, we had another example of that, and I think it was a different fireman shot where there was no hose in there, but there were firemen who were doing a controlled burn, and it's clear that there were hoses around. So
Right.
in that case,
And I think the purpose really matters. So like when Joe teaches remote viewing, it might not be for associating it with a picture. It might be to find a lost child or some other, or a submarine, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is, all we have to do is pick the right picture. So it's not, it's not quite so intense as to getting the details right. We just have to understand which one is the match. It's a different
Thank you.
goal.
right. Okay, so that's it. And as you all know, we now hit submit. But what you're seeing here is new. In fact, Julie and I talked about it. And when you go in, this is true. You know, I'm just in here as an individual viewer. It now gives a summary as it always did of this. It prints out the notes as it always did. But now we have added a reminder that side 1 and 2 were randomly chosen, but your scores indicate the following photo site relationship. Side 1 was randomly associated with up. Side 2 is down. I didn't know that. Side 1 was and always is the first coordinate. It's the up and down that's random. And your personal prediction is side 1 for up, which is the same as over. I've got to eventually get around to change that, but okay. For sports, of course, up is equivalent to over. So the prediction is over, and now let's find out how many points. But we have now predicted, congratulations, how that was sort of interesting and fun, that it's over. So now I think I had Bookmaker open to get what was the line, which was 41. Let me do a refresh. It's probably logged me out. I'll resubmit.
Oh, that changed.
Did it?
Oh,
Let's see if it
most
changed
of
in
on
Bookmaker.
some sites it went up to 41.5.
Okay, in some ways I'm happy. Well, not because we're going over, I'm not happy, but I like the fact that it's got the half in there, which is what happens most of the time. So let's see if Bookmaker did that. You use another one of the offshores.
I use Bovida, but I was looking at a page that looks at 5 different ones.
Okay.
5 Dimes, Bovida, 2 others.
Nope, we're still 41 and even. Okay, so this now gives us an opportunity to discuss this, and in fact, I would like some feedback on this. The problem with 41 is that if it's exactly on 41, which feedback do you give? Do you give over feedback or do you give under feedback? In fact, it's both. And we've actually struggled with this for a long time. We've been doing this now for many years. And my original perspective was, you're both right. Both. Just being positive, and they are both right, because from the wagering standpoint, they give you back all of your money without any charge at all. No, what's called a VIG. So you get your full money back. So it certainly wasn't a miss. And one of the other things which was done is you give both people passes. But you still have to face up to which feedback photo do you provide. And now, since we're keeping stats and everything, it really is kind of important to sort of have one thing in there and one way to do it. Scott, I believe, was the one who came up with the idea, when this is the situation and the prediction is over, to actually use 40 and a half.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is over 40 and a half is going to make it really clear which the feedback should be. And if it's 41, you still get a hit. And it is a hit, basically, because it wasn't a miss. One of the whole philosophies in wagering is not to lose. Now we
So there's a question
Yeah.
in the chat box, which is the same question that I have.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me. I just can't look
Okay,
at
so
the chat
if
box.
you click on the little triangle next to the 41, you get some choices, and you can buy into a half a point. So if you click on the little triangle, it should give you choices.
The way I get them is here from props.
Oh, okay.
Let's
I
do
was
it.
gonna say
Let me just see if those props are there.
But
well,
you can
here you can see the choices are not as, and I do know some of the other websites.
Yeah, 5 times it's real clear by a half point. And
Well, no, yeah, they would have done 41 and a half. See, I don't see that option here.
5 times had it, but the odds were really awful.
Well, exactly, and that's one of the reasons I really don't. I think this choice, and that's why we're talking about it. But I think this choice is a better choice, and it is the one which I use, and I think it's the one which Scott uses. So we always make it so it cannot be right on.
So you just add a half point.
Or subtract. In this case, notice you subtract. The logic is that if it goes in your direction, it's going to be a push. So in this case, since the prediction is over and the final score is 41, you will get a hit marked to you, but the wager will be a push. Just let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
as a group manager, it always becomes clear once you know if it's over and under, because you make it turn out to be a hit if it's a push.
So if we had predicted under, then I would have gone with 41.5 as the line.
Correct. Okay, so that's it. So I'm actually going to place a wager. And okay, now that Firefly is almost over, I think I'm going to be doing more sports. And so I'm sort of 10 to 15%, 40, 50. I'm going to do $60 on this, which is 15. Oh, no. Wait, I'm at 21. 40 would be 20%. I'm going to do $40. So that's pretty much 20%. I continue, and Here's risking 44 to earn 40, and I'm confirming the bet. Okay, so my bet has been successfully placed. The up arrow says I am over 41. I had to place my bet at 41, but in terms of the prediction as a group manager, I would now go, and anybody who's interested in becoming a group manager, we will have separate webinars on the details of that, where I will teach you exactly how you go, but it's relatively straightforward. Scott is doing it without any difficulty, and it certainly helps him. In fact, if we get enough group managers, I'll probably be able to do things to make it even simpler. But what's your take, your honest take on how simple the mechanics of being a group manager is to get those emails out? Because the emails are automated to go out to all of the members of your group.
Yeah, that part's really simple. It saves me a lot of time and a lot of hassle.
Okay. So all of you potential group managers out there, and app is now aggressively looking to encourage people to come in and become group managers. And in fact, there is a enormous amount to learn as a group manager. And at some stage in your kind of development with precognition and ARV and remote viewing, I really do encourage you to get into the position where you're a group manager of a group. It teaches you a lot about consciousness and precognition, certainly in others, because you're now spending a lot of time contemplating what might be going on in their minds, but also in your own.
And
Okay.
tomorrow I'll talk about that at noon.
Right. In fact, if people want to, why don't I actually do it to complete this cycle? You can actually see, you haven't seen everything, but there's no reason not to see where's my email? No, not my email. I want this. Let's do the GM prediction form. I'll show you the mechanism and how really straightforward it is. This is now the GM prediction form. Notice there's one for step 1, step 2, step 3. I was going to do it for all the other groups, and there's just not enough time. The only one that has been done, maybe someday if we can afford to hire programmers. But so we go to prediction and
Marty,
line.
what we're seeing, these are not single people's. This is if a GM wants to do
This is now the GM for the group.
I see. Yep.
Right.
And it's not necessary to do this right now because the individual people are putting it in. But if I wanted to put in my lively stuff, I could do it as one unit.
Correct. In fact, let me show you that. So you do what I did before. All I did was highlight WE first and then webinar workshop. You have to do it again. It has to do with the coding. I mean, someday you can even make that more efficient, but it's not a big deal. You click this again. Now, this was the page where I get all the information from all of the viewers. In this case, there's only one, which was me. You see?
Yeah.
If you did lively and you had them, so it would be a different kind of lively, but you had each of them do their own prediction, you would have each of their names here. You would have the stuff, this looks complicated and this is what's in the server, so it is complicated, but you could ignore that. You end off getting one line for each viewer, and then you get a summary based on a simple model, which both Scott and I use as part of our analysis as a judge, but we tend to ignore it. Not ignore it. We use it as part of our analysis, but it's not complete. You know, you're now the group manager. You're making a group prediction separate from the personal predictions. Notice here, the personal prediction was side one, but I now have to make a group prediction. And if there were, 10 viewers, who knows, they'll go in different directions. And that's what Scott's going to be talking about tomorrow. But then we do webinar workshop, right? Because that's what we're doing now. Since we've agreed it's going to be up is side one. So all I have to do is put side one in here. And the line, because this now gets mailed out to all the people in the group, which in this case is just me. But notice we said, we said it would be 40.5, right? So that's what goes out to the viewers, and that's what the line is, and that's what will determine whether they get, in their minds, hits or misses. And so it's very clear. It also makes it clear what to do for feedback. And here, if I want to, I can put whatever words, and you have to know just a little, the bare minimum about HTML to understand this, but you've seen enough emails, Nancy, to know it says side one and side two, and the computer decided side one would be up and side two would be down. So that's placed there. And here we could say webinar prediction with 4 CR equal 4 and 1 pass. And then I always check it because it's a pain if you make a mistake. Side one, and then you go submit. And then this just confirms what you did, and it actually prints out the email here. And this is the way, you as a viewer will see this. So again, as a GM, it really is, the mechanics is very straightforward, and it just does a lot of the work for you.
The most important lines there are up and 40.5.
Right. And that's what people do, because they'll go now and wager. Oh, here's the email down here where it says side one and side two.
Right above that, it
wait
says
a second.
up and 40.5.
No, I think, why am I missing? Oh, here, right here. And the reason, though, this is important for people is they may disagree. See, they now know that their second transcript is down, and if they got a dynamite match with down, they're going to go different than here. You see? And some people do that. They say, hey, the group, that's fine, but I trust myself. And we always want people to have that option. Okay, questions, comments? I hope, again, you might ask questions that you think people who might be listening to this in the future might ask.
So this was kind of a lively binary use of WE.
Correct. And one which is going to have people appreciate how easy it is to become a WE group manager.
Is anyone using it as a binary?
I am sort of, for some of mine.
Do you have one group that's dedicated to it?
No, I just have 1 or 2 viewers within my group.
Yeah, there's no group who is dedicated to doing that. And you are a candidate for that, Nancy.
Well, one of our viewers in Sublime was really sent off just fired off a bunch of short emails last night saying, "Oh, let's do it like Scott's doing it. Just do one series," and was pretty excited about it. So this is really good to see this.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, well, and you could give your viewers the option of doing two or one. I know a lot of them are used to only doing one, and they may say, I only want to do one, and you say, fine, you show them how.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess you missed a couple more of the benefits there, because the individual viewer, when you uploaded, they got a link to look at their personal history, and the group manager
Cool.
and the group manager also got a link to look at all the histories of all the people who submitted a transcript.
Yeah, the
So
group manager gets that. Yeah, let me show them that.
There it is.
Yeah, down here, this is very valuable.
So while you're making a decision,
while you're making a decision, all the stats now,
that's very helpful.
Which both of us, there's some things I do not like about Windows 10. This is one of them.
So you could, if somebody's errant and totally opposite the way the rest of the group's going, you can look at their history and see if it's a message to you or if you should ignore it.
Right. Now, all you're going to see here is my group rate, which is not as good as a lot of others, but that's what it is. I don't really get to do as many sessions as I would like.
You're doing quite a few.
Well, this goes back for I don't know how many years we goes back, but that's not the point. The point is all of the information is available here. So, and if there were 10 viewers, there would be 10 of these, one after another. In fact, one of the things I'd like to do is limit it to the last, there's a lot that goes
So is there a screen that's easy to pull up in the moment of judging where, say there's a viewer who is exactly the opposite of everybody else, you can pull up that viewer and see their comments and what they're thinking?
In other words, it'd be right here. So this is that link, because notice here, you've got this information plus all of their previous CRs.
This is one person, or is this the whole group?
No, this is Marty.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
No, wait.
Viewers, Marty.
In this case, but so all the information is here, all the comments I put in, all my CRs, all the hit-miss history, and then the comments I put in when I did my feedback, they're all here. And if other viewers had been, in this case, notice it looks to the system like there was only one viewer, Marty. But if the other viewers had been involved in your group, you as the group manager would have this exact same type of information for all of your other viewers.
I see one that says Jane and Marty and one that says Deborah and Marty, so you can see who it is that's putting in which side. That's really brilliant.
Yeah, that was when we did some couples work. I was doing work out of my home here.
Yeah.
That group was called Friends, and so but all the comments you put in are in here. It's one of the actual sort of, by summarizing all of this, since we all tend to do variations, none of that shows up specifically, but it does show up in the change of slope. And I just can't wait until tomorrow when Scott tells you all, because his curve has a clear change of slope. And when we do change things and you see a really clear change of slope, wow, you really begin to think that I've really found an effect here.
Marty, does this this picture that you have pulled up, is it everything that you've done? Like if you do a quick Sublime, if you do we've done so many different series with different protocols. Are all those in there too?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Anything under my name, when I logged in as Marty at p-i-a.com, is right here. Now, if I logged,
you had to upload the transcripts through this system.
Correct. Or put a dummy.
It's pretty much your WE history.
But Sublime's not WE. That's why I was asking if his Sublime transcripts were in here too, if he put those in.
No.
Okay.
And your Sublime, if you start doing this, it'll start with that. Now, could we put some effort in and get your old data to be combined with this? Yes.
No.
Well, no, no. The fact of the matter is, everything, these computers and the languages and everything are so sophisticated that the fact is we could do it. And we're
You could
already
read my
doing this with the
right?
R. You remember the R
Yeah.
programming language. So I'll have access to your data as long as you're keeping it up. But then it would be a reasonably non-trivial programming job to integrate those two.
Mhm.
And again, who knows, someday that might happen, but it's certainly not going to happen in the short term.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I look at this screen and I can see who's on a winning streak and who's on a losing streak. Weight their transcript scores accordingly.
Well,
Again,
that's the important part. But is it this screen, Scott? Because
yeah,
this looks like one single viewer.
no,
No.
but if there were 5 people that upload transcripts, it would show 5 different charts here and 5 different
Oh,
histories and 5 different hit rates.
I understand. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you want as a judge.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like Excel, but I didn't realize this was so wonderful.
Yeah. Well, Excel, unless you've had it so it has history in it, has a very hard time to give you history. See, that's the programming that's gone into this, is to give you
Mhm.
history plots like this, plus saving and printing out all the previous information, because I find that the comments are in fact important. You know, if you read, in fact, one of the things I want to do is an AI, artificial intelligence program someday, which looks at the words and the comments that people put in. Are they leaning towards feeling negative about what was going on or positive about what was going on? And in the
Mhm.
subtle comments people put, which, here you are in your place, you've done your own judging. How do you feel about it? Then I
Mhm.
ask that. And that's what I want people to put in, their honest feelings about it, in addition to the ranking. Anyway, there's so much that can be done, and we're just going to keep doing it. So this is just going to
Marty,
get better and better.
I'd like to say that I feel very strongly that this is maybe the best tool there is for self-growth, for self-improvement, because there's nothing artificial about the real act of remote viewing has to happen. The real brain exercise has to happen. And then this keeps track of everything. So it's immediate. It just seems like it's the very best way to learn. It is immediate feedback. It's encouragement just in the fact of being able to see what we did in the last 10 events.
I, I, I'll go even further. Not only with precognition, I've come to believe, not necessarily the best, but that it is another path towards just deepening your own self. There's a
Mhm.
Buddhist word, and I always forget what it is, city or something. There are
Mhm.
different paths of self realization and all
Self-realization,
those really
yes.
heavy, really spiritual things. And
Mhm.
it's kind of strange, but that's why more and more I'm playing up wisdom. And in fact, I had one more slide, which I love. I may just always use it, which is this one. And, and, a lot of you have seen this already. But it's just true, Nancy, what you said. There's something about growing wise, gaining some wisdom by tackling um, precognition, knowing that it's part of your being, that this is the way the universe works, and we're taking it on. And everything that, and it's definitely a we. I mean, yeah, I've been at this a very long way, and maybe I've turned it into a programming program, which where programming is certainly a part of it. But I did a lot of that as I'm learning more and more, writing the programs to help me as a viewer. And yes, I always had it in my mind that I wanted as many other people as possible to use it. But just I happen to have that programming skill, So I brought it into the mix, and I'm really glad that other people like you are able to use it and actually appreciate it.
You go back to that chart, Marty.
Um, oh, yeah, sure. Ooh.
On the
Oh,
left.
just went through it. Yeah, wait.
Yeah, I don't know, Marty likes to look at a lot of charts, but the number I look at the most down below is the hit rates. I don't know if people notice that number.
Yeah, that's this number right there.
Yeah.
The last
So
red point.
often their overall hit rate is very close to their recent hit rate.
So what are you saying? Their overall is very close to their what?
Their recent hit rate. It isn't always true. Some people are on a win streak so that their recent history is different than their overall history. But for a lot of people, they're similar. So I definitely look at. I build a spreadsheet and I write down that 51.9 number down in this case.
And that's a percentage. That's important.
A percentage.
Yeah.
That's the hit rate.
Yeah.
So
And so you keep a spreadsheet with each one of your group members and keep their hit rate in a spreadsheet?
No. I'm talking about for each individual prediction, I make a new spreadsheet, and I write down that number there for each of them, for each viewer. So if I have 5 viewers, then I'm going to put 5 different hit rates down there, right next to their scores, in a spreadsheet. And then if somebody's on a winning streak, I might decide that that person gets a little more weight for their transfer.
Yeah.
And then if I want to know if their recent history, I can scroll down to the end of that table there, because these are in chronological order. So in the third column there, you can see that Marty did that first transcript that in the records there was from 2013. In 2013 was the first one that the chart is showing.
Must be when we started, right around there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if I wanted to look at their recent last 10, I can scroll down to the end of the chart.
You need control of the screen. There we go.
There. So the 94th one there was done in December 7th this month. So I can see his last 10 there from over all his WE groups. And some of my viewers are in Chicken Dinner and a couple of Marty's other groups too. So I get to see how they're doing in both. And I can see their recent hit rate, which is important. I mostly look at the last 10.
So do you have a column just for their hit rate that you keep here? Is it an extra column?
In a way, it's two columns. So one for their overall hit rate and one for their last 10 trades.
Oh, perfect. And is it in this sheet, or do you keep it in an Excel on your desktop?
I create a new Excel for every event, every game, and there'll be a line for each viewer. And I'll put in their scores. I'll put in how they score their transcripts, and I'll put in their overall hit rate and their recent hit rate. And that'll tell me, if they're on a losing streak, then maybe I want to pay more attention to the people on a winning streak or whatever. They would want that. Some of them will even write me and go, I didn't do so well on this one. You know how I've been doing lately. You might want to go purposely the opposite of what I did.
And let me just add. Let me just add this, Scott. I'm sure every judge does modifications and does it their own way, partially based on their own viewers. I don't use the spreadsheet idea because I've done a lot of my logic in R now, but I would use a 25-day moving average. I know Scott has a lot of new people. They may not even have 25-day. But instead of putting in that table, I would recommend using the 25-day one just because it's where the person is within the last, month or two.
But yeah, I should get used to using the chart more because it could save me time. But as I developed it, those other lines didn't used to be there.
Mhm.
They used to be just the overall lines, so I'm used to looking at the last 10.
As a judge, having that information is really, I mean, I do that with my Excel spreadsheet with every single event.
Right.
And if we could just have that column in here, then we wouldn't have to do that toggling back and forth. It would just come up.
Well, you got what column? Isn't this the number?
So it would be really awesome to have that hit rate, and then the last 25 events, or 10 events even. 10 events. What do you look at, Scott?
Well, you do have it, but you don't have it in a nice organized table. So I guess if I had enough judges telling me you have it all, but if it were in a nice organized table, I guess it would make it a little simpler. That's all. You know, if after getting enough judges, if we all agree the judging ought to be done in a certain way, or at least involve a certain data, I would be happy to do that. It turns out what you just asked for isn't that hard.
Well, and it seems like people who are new to managing, their groups are a little bit smaller. It's not like you and Scott and people who have multiple groups that they're keeping data for. It's just a little group, so it doesn't really come into effect until, oh my gosh, it's Sunday morning and I have 4 groups that are all getting ready to make a prediction. Then it's really helpful to have it in an Excel spreadsheet or this here.
Well, I'm just doing one group pretty much right now.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at this page every time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I really do have to leave a little bit before 2 today. I've got something I need to do. So are there any other, subjects, comments, questions that we ought to answer now?
It keeps getting better and better and better, Marty. Every time I see this, I don't see it every day like you do. So when I see it with distance in between, it's always surprising at how much it develops every single time.
Yeah, and it develops because people like the group managers asked me and convinced me that it really is important. That last thing you saw, Scott convinced me I needed to add that, the last thing being where it says where the particular viewers went up or down and some summary information. That was just put in a week ago, probably.
Oh, yeah, nice.
This could use a little color-coded thing that tells you what red is and what blue is and what green is.
Yeah,
it does. That?
It says it here.
A key. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was actually, I don't know, a color-coded key.
I just don't have time to make it pretty, and that goes for a lot of the things. I know I could do that, but I'm just managing my to-do list like everybody else, and making it pretty just is not near the top of the list.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to thank you all for coming and end this now, and to wish you all a happy, healthy new year, and health, wisdom, and keep precogging.
Here's one more last question. Feedback for today after the game, does it come into our email?
Yes, I have all of yours, so you will get it all via email.
Okay, and you've got Julie's as well?
Everybody, yeah. I have everybody's email. And and I will get, and this is part of my system here, I will actually get credit for this. So I hope you're all right.
We will. It's going to be a hit.
It will be.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there some other game going on? Are you going to parley?
If I feel really comfortable, in fact, if you like, I can tell you what that group does. It turns out, if I feel really comfortable with that, I'll share that with you as well.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're all very welcome, and thank you. We are clearly all doing this together, and I'm still having a lot of fun and learning. So it's really all
fun to meet you, Julie. We'll talk again. It's fun to meet you, Julie. We'll talk again.
Yes, the same back. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Right.
Bye, Scott. Bye, Chris. Bye, everyone.
Right. Bye now.